The final month of 2024 is almost here, and even though it marks the start of meteorological winter, the cold blast which invaded Europe last week, resulting in widespread snowfall, has been pushed away by Storm Bert. So now with the return of some milder weather across Europe, the pattern is now becoming increasingly favorable for widespread cold air across Canada and the United States, introducing more chances for snow. I'll discuss this matter later in the video, but to begin this discussion, I want to show you the next system that I'm going to be tracking through the end of this week. It doesn't look like anything more than a small cluster of clouds right now, and it's probably going to remain that way as it slides across portions of the UK through tonight, centered over the English Channel, before briefly emerging over the North Sea. As it does so, some weather models suggest that it could strengthen a bit more, allowing for the development of a region of strong winds to the south and east of the center of low pressure, so this could be a localized threat to watch for mainly in Belgium and the Netherlands on Wednesday. And then once it moves inland into Germany, it's probably going to lose a lot of its punch, mainly in terms of wind, but the impacts won't stop here. Between Thursday and Friday, I expect this compact system to broaden with a large field of light to moderate rain showers, some even switching to snow the further east they get, and then with an anticyclone building to its north, it becomes an infamous cutoff low, and this will let it sink further south into the Balkan Peninsula as we go into the weekend. I think rainfall is going to become a greater concern, especially the further south you go, with heavy snowfall expected in the mountains, and if there is just enough cold air available, we just might have some snow reaching the lower elevations across Kosovo, North Macedonia, Serbia, and western Bulgaria. That's going to have my attention through the remainder of this week, but here's another couple of things to take note of. These are the remnants of Storm Bert, by the way, just a large area of widespread scattered showers from Central Europe to the Nordic countries, and I know you can't see it on this graphic, but the very warm air mass that it pulled in is roughly around here over northwestern Russia, so all of this will soon be completely out of the picture. Also, the pest from the west is going to attempt making a comeback in the form of this large and slow-moving mass of low-pressure systems, but it won't make it very far into the European continent, and that's all thanks to the same anticyclone which is going to trap that cutoff low around the Balkans. All in all, it should remain mostly dry in northwestern Africa, most of Iberia except the far west, southern France, northern Italy, and the Middle East up into Ukraine. On the other hand, precipitation is expected to be quite heavy in the Balkans, the Caucasus Mountains, Ireland, Scotland, and Norway. And then across northwestern Europe, heavy rainfall is quite typical, but in light of the flooding caused by Storm Bert in portions of the UK and Ireland, this extra rain could cause some issues in vulnerable areas. And then in the Balkans, the main flood threat is going to be focused over portions of Greece, North Macedonia, and Albania, with very heavy precipitation expected across the Caucasus region through Wednesday. And lastly, this is how the weather systems will likely impact the temperatures. Take a look at that very warm air mass that came with Storm Bert slipping away into Russia, while cold air lingers over Turkey and surrounding areas. And then as that cutoff low develops and slides down to the Balkans, it's going to keep the temperatures lower, while a surge of warmth occurs across the west. And then if you look closely, this actually appears to block some cold air that tries to come in, keeping it locked in the far north. So if it wasn't for the pest from the west, that cold air mass could have very well continued moving south, making for a colder and possibly wintry end to November. That's not going to be the case for us in Europe, but it's going to be a different story in the United States. There has indeed been some intervals of colder air and even snowfall recently, but it hasn't been quite as widespread as what's coming. There's still some mild air across the south and east, which is to be expected, but that's slowly disappearing as this storm system slides through with rain and storms through tomorrow. But what really has the attention of many weather enthusiasts in the US is actually what's coming behind it, and you can see it here across the Rockies. It becomes apparent over the Ohio Valley by late Wednesday into Thursday, with some light to moderate snow beginning to fall across portions of Illinois, Indiana, and eventually Ohio, and before it can really get going, it quickly slides into the interior northeast where most of the snow is expected through Friday. It will definitely complicate traveling to a certain extent, mainly due to the wintry weather, but quite honestly, I personally don't think it's worth the hype that I've seen circulating. This is roughly how much snow we could see through Friday, and as you can see here, snowfall totals are going to be modest across the Ohio Valley, with any appreciable accumulation occurring in the interior northeast and Canada. Anyways, what I do think is worth your attention is a lake effect snow event which will begin at the end of this week, as very cold air continues to spill in. Further updates will be posted as needed, but that's going to be all for this forecast, so let's conclude with our featured photos. The Discord server has grown a lot recently, with nearly 80 submissions just in the last 2 weeks, so I'd like to start by thanking everyone for continuing to submit your pictures and contributing to these videos. As this channel continues to reach more people, there's going to naturally be more and more photos to share, so photo of the day is being renamed to today's featured photos. With that being said, I've chosen 5 pictures to show you today, starting with this one sent in from Kosovo of the recent wintry weather. Further north in Estonia, the cold wave and subsequent wintry weather last week resulted in as much as 30 centimeters of snow, with very similar scenes in Finland as well. Now, the next 2 photos aren't winter weather related, but they're very impressive nonetheless. Look at this picture of lightning from central Portugal earlier this month. Lastly, this is an interesting cloud formation. These are called lenticular clouds. This particular one was photographed in northeastern Spain last week as the cold air mass swept in, and in cases like this where we have enough moisture in the atmosphere, lenticular clouds can form when wind is obstructed by a large feature like a mountain or a mountain range. That was all for our featured photos for today, but don't worry if your picture wasn't chosen this time. I'll try to get to as many of these submissions as possible in my upcoming updates. Thanks everyone for tuning in as always, and I'll see you on the next one.